This is Bob Levy's Topic A Jersey Shore tradition for over 30 years on WOBM AM 1160 and 1310 and Ocean County's hometown station 92.7 WOBM. Now, here's Bob Levy.
We are back, and I guess you know what's coming. I just want to make this louder. There we go. A good deal. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, I told you what we'll be doing here today. We're going to be talking about a relatively new organization called Hope Sheds Light. It's you can find them online. You can find them on Facebook and see what they're about. They came into being with the purpose of educating and educating folks on just how dangerous this drug situation is, making them aware and educating. That's the primary purpose. And two gentlemen with me today that really, I guess, get a good bit of the credit for starting the organization. And we're going to find out about what they've been doing so far and what they plan to be doing in the future. This is not just another group. All right. So my guests are Ron Rosetto, a longtime local entrepreneur, and Steve Willis, a Toms River attorney. And you have something in common that you wish you didn't.
That's correct.
You're both victims of drugs and suffered unimaginable losses. And what I really want you to do to get started here today is tell us your stories and don't leave anything out. And because I think in hearing what you have to say, a lot of people are going to have their eyes opened and their ears opened here today. So, Ron, I know you. You're well known. You and your family in the area. Your primary business now is
commercial real estate.
Yeah, and you have been devoting more time to this Hope Sheds Light than you have to your business over the last year or so. Start from the beginning. What happened that shattered your family?
Well, Bob, last Thanksgiving, unfortunately, I lost my son Mark to an overdose of drugs, and I found out about it when I was in Florida. We had just arrived on vacation, and my younger son had called me, giving me the bad news.
I have to interrupt you, which I wasn't planning to do. You did say last Thanksgiving, and you meant 2012.
2012.
So it was, here we are before Christmas. So I just
1 year ago.
So it's been just over a year ago.
Yes.
And I'm going to try not to interrupt you again.
No, thank you. So coming back to town with that nightmare and trying to live with the loss of your son and trying to pick up the pieces, I decided that I had to do something because I don't want to see any other parents go through the nightmare that I've gone through. A lot of my friends have gone through. Steve Willis, sitting next to me, has gone through. And the best way to do that, we thought, was to try to form a non-for-profit organization with a group of great people who are dedicating their time away from their businesses and families to try to get this thing started. And so far...
Stop. Here I go again. Wasn't going to interrupt you, right? Before we even get into the group and Hope Sheds Light, I want you to give us your story from the beginning. This was not... The tragic death of your son was not a total shock to you, was it?
Right, that's correct.
Because there's a history, so I want to hear this from the beginning, and I think our listeners, our listeners do too, and I think it's important.
Great. From the beginning, we first found out that Mark was doing drugs probably when he was around 15 years old, which, like many kids today, they're usually doing drugs at around 14, 15. And did we know about it right away? We didn't. We didn't even have a clue. First, they start with the pills, the prescription medication, and then soon it leads to heroin. And it leads to heroin because of their addiction with a lot of pain pills, because a lot of the pain pills are opiates like Oxycontin, and an Oxycontin is nothing more than heroin. And Mark became addicted to heroin and addicted to pills. The pills, you build up a tolerance after so many months or years that you need more pills. And then it becomes expensive. And the dealers on the street know this, whether they're from Newark, New Jersey, Seaside Heights, Asbury Park, sorry about that. And they are selling heroin now for $3 to $5 a bag. So it's cheap, anybody can get it, and it's very addictive. My son at 15 years old was in school. He played sports. He was on St. Joe's Angels football team. He played with Toms River High School North for the first year, and while he was a freshman. And then soon after that, I noticed a change. I noticed that his grades were failing. I noticed that there was a difference in his posture, his attitude, and his grades were failing. He dropped out of football, and that's another sign for a lot of parents. If your kids are in sports, that's a great thing. Keep them there. If you start to see that they're shying away from that for whatever reason, that could be the first sign. At that point, we basically lost our son forever because he was just never the same person again. Once you start with the prescription pain pills and the heroin, you're just constantly high. So we went through a period of about 15 to 17 years of an absolute nightmare in detox facilities, rehab facilities. He would be clean for a month, and then he would come home and immediately hook up with the same population and kids that he would hang out with, and they would start doing drugs all over again. And after so many years, hundreds of thousands of dollars, possibly some parents refinancing their homes, doing whatever they can to try to save their son or daughter, you finally get to the point where there's no more enabling. I can't do this anymore. And you stop. You stop enabling your child. And for people that don't have kids that have this disease, can't understand that. And it's not as easy as you think, but you put a stop to it. And, I pretty much cut them off. My son then had issues where they would find needles in his car, pills in his car. He got arrested. He went to jail. The jails were horrible because you have locally in Ocean County, you have gangs like the Bloods and some others. So that's something that you've got to overcome, that that your child is in jail, getting beat up and maybe doing drugs, maybe not. And then when he comes out of jail, now he has a record. So in essence, you have a record, you're a drug addict, your life is pretty much over. You're on probation.
No, I have to. I'm compelled. You said this went on for 15 to 17 years.
Correct.
He went from a young kid to a mature man, physically anyway. And what was he doing all this time other than drugs? I mean, did he do any sort of work? Did he pursue any sort of any worthwhile endeavors? Of what? Tell us about that.
Well, after high school, he did go to college for a year, but again, Florida, there's a lot of pills in Florida. So he continued his addiction. His grades continued to fail in college, and we brought him home. Once he came home, there would be no motivation whatsoever, because that's the way these kids are that are hooked on, whether it's pills, heroin, whatever. And they basically lay around. They get themselves into trouble. They might sell drugs to support their own habit. They steal from their grandmother. They steal from their mother. It's just an ongoing, nightmare, Bob. Soon after that, they get themselves in trouble and they get arrested. They can't hold a job down because if they're working, they could be falling asleep in their chair because of the heroin. That's what it does to you. So whether they get laid off, fired, they move on, they're home. I had Mark in my office a couple of times, trying to do some mailings and get him straightened out so that I can watch him. And, if the addict is not willing to get help, you can't help him. I have a younger son who's doing great. He had issues when he was younger. He did want to get help, and today he's doing great. He has a home, a family, 2 beautiful granddaughters that he had given me, and life is good for him right now, and he's got a mission. He's got a great job. So there is a very small percentage of the people that can actually do this drug and make it. Most of them are not going to make it. You're either going to go to jail or you're going to die. That's the cold reality of heroin. And, unfortunately, with my son Mark, because he thought he could do it himself, couldn't hold a job, relationships, education, his entire life was destroyed. And you look at this beautiful kid, if I showed you a picture of him, he certainly didn't look like a drug addict. He didn't look like a heroin addict. The face of a heroin addict today is a clean-cut kid that you'd have no clue is doing this stuff. And it's just a horrible disease. And today, unfortunately, in our area, from what I understand from the prosecutor's office, is that heroin today is now in Ocean County 70% pure. It was 50%, 55%. Now it's 70% pure. When we were in high school, heroin was 8% pure. So that'll give you a little bit of an education of how dangerous this stuff really is.
You had 2 decades almost of this agony.
Yes.
You and your family. You had to neglect the rest of your family. The rest of your family must have been neglecting you. So it tore you up, and I think it's amazing how you are going on today, and I realize how important this work is to you now. We talked some off the air, and how many times you asked yourself since his passing, what could I have done differently? Could I have done to? And you know intellectually that you did everything you could, but still emotionally, you're going to be asking yourself that question for the rest of your life.
Exactly.
And as an outsider listening to your story, I'm thinking, what could you have done? You did everything possible. My gosh, what it cost you? I mean, you were quite a man of means, a family of means, and it cost you financially an absolute fortune.
Yes, it absolutely did, and it's to the point where in any demographic, I don't care whether you're poor, blue collar, white collar, it affects everyone. This disease does not insulate anyone, and it rips apart families, again, relationships, educations, and it's hard to explain, but families and your entire life is ripped apart by this crazy disease.
We set this up for today to do this, and after the fact, I was thinking, maybe we should have started at 9 and gone for the 2 hours. There might have been enough interest there. Maybe we should have started at 8 and go for 3 hours, or with calls and stuff, or at least till they dried up. We shot for an hour. And so I'm going to turn now after that to Steve Willis, who's been sitting here patiently beside you.
Could I just say one more thing in closing, because I want to get this message out, because I sit on other committees, and it's very important that the holidays are coming up, and the grandmothers, the parents, the kids are coming over, the grandchildren are coming over, their coats are upstairs on the bed. Lock your prescription medication up, lock your medicine cabinet, because they will go into your medicine cabinet and get your prescription meds. Whether they're going to use them, sell them, deal them, make sure that you do that, because you could save one life this holiday.
Did you get the feeling that you're done speaking now?
Yes.
No, well, you're not.
I'm not, but turning it over to Steve.
You guys are the show here this morning, so we're coming back. Steve, Let's hear your story.
Thank you, Bob. My son, his name is Mark also, and he died about 3 months ago. He died on September 15. Mark was not a heroin addict. My story is different than Ron's, and my son didn't overdose. But he was an addict through and through. What my son died of, actually, what I call the collateral effects of too much drug use. He did so much alcohol, so many varied drugs during the course of his young life that he created a seizure disorder. And up until the very end, my son never continually practiced the principles that addicts need to practice. Mark always thought that he had it all figured out. And he died actually drowning. It appeared that he had a grand mal seizure early one morning when he was fishing before work. And he fell into about 8 inches of water, and he died. But it's because of the seizures that he died, and the seizures arose from all of his drug use. So there's more than just overdoses that I deal with every day. But my story starts with Mark really when he was 13 years old. The first 12 years of my life with Mark, with my dear wife and my daughter Emily, were wonderful. We had sports and church, and everything was great. But at age 13, all hell broke loose in my house. There was massive quantities of drugs, primarily marijuana starting out, which led into hallucinogens. It led into inhalants, led into cocaine. When he first started smoking marijuana, I objected to it, of course. He's 13 years old, but I figured that he may grow out of it. What I saw, and Ron touched on this with his son, and I think families will see it, when their children, their juveniles or their adult kids are sick, they'll see a change in attitude, and that's what I saw. Mark stopped playing sports. He stopped going to church. He stopped really, communicating with us. He went from a kid who did everything to a kid who dropped out of everything. And even school. He wasn't even going to school after a while, running away. It was the attitude that I saw just became awful. It's like a switch was thrown. And I started scratching my head. I said, what is going on here? I needed to figure out what it was. As a parent, and I always thought I was a pretty good parent, I set rules when he was younger. He abided by them. I tried grounding him. It didn't seem to work. We tried family discussions. We tried family counseling to get Mark there, and he wouldn't go. So some of my friends would say, well, just throw him in the car, make him do it. And I really tried to make him do it. But short of beating the hell out of him, he wouldn't do it. Nothing I did as a dad worked at all. It was the most humbling experience I've really ever had in my life. And as a man and as an attorney, I think I can fix everything. So in trying to figure out what was going on with Mark, why, Steve, can't you change him? I came to realize that I think it's because I couldn't effect a meaningful consequence for him. None of those rules worked. If I grounded him, he went out. If I took personal things away from him, he just, he stole them. It was an awful and scary experience, really. I reported these behaviors to the police, particularly when he, wasn't coming home. And I think that the police all those years ago thought it was more, bad parenting than me having a sick child. And this addiction is really a family disease because I became sick. I felt that my life was falling apart. I had a kid who only seemed to care about being high and nothing about his family, which wasn't the way he was raised or I was raised. I mean, I loved my parents dearly, and even though I got into some minor trouble, I always wanted to make sure that they didn't get too disappointed. I followed their rules. Really, my parents, I guess, acted as an external motivator for me. So I stopped right at that edge, and Mark, really never did. Talk about getting sick. I mean, in trying to fix him, I really stopped being a good husband. I stopped being a father to my daughter, Emily, and I stopped doing my job well as an attorney. Drug use really creates massively bad decisions, not just in the addict, but also in the family members. So I had to do something. So what I ended up doing, realizing that I couldn't effectuate a consequence, I decided I was going to find somebody who could effect a consequence, or at least I hoped. So I decided to press charges against him. I told Mark, I said, you may not think I'm much of a dad at this point, but I'm a pretty good attorney. And knowing how the legal system would work, my theory was that if I told a judge the madness that was going on in my home, maybe the judge could help me effectuate a consequence. I didn't have to make up any charges. I mean, I was searching Mark's room constantly. I was finding drugs, all kinds. He was breaking up my house. He was stealing stuff, even from his auntie grandmother who lived with us. It was really intolerable. And when I decided to press charges, that was not a very comfortable thing for anybody. My wonderful mother didn't want me to. The large firm I worked for at that point thought I was nuts because my son would have a criminal record and all kinds of things. And I just started to think, you know what? A criminal record doesn't matter at all if my son ends up dying. It becomes meaningless. And when I told my son I was going to press charges against him, again trying to effectuate a consequence, he looked at me and said, "Are you nuts? You don't really love me, do you?" I said, "I love you a lot." I said, "I'm here to teach two things, Mark. I'm here to teach responsibility and love. And I can't teach either one if I don't, demonstrate those things." So by pressing charges, I did that. I went in front of the judge and I said, "Judge, just please give my son a choice, jail or treatment." It's the only thing I could think of. Because I tried the treatment part and he wouldn't do it. And the judge heard the madness that was going on in my home. And that's a choice she gave Mark. So Mark ended up being ordered, on probation, ordered to successfully complete treatment, which is really what I do with my practice now, trying to bring leverage. When all else, when normal intervention techniques don't work, when our kids, juveniles or adults, will not respond, we need to find other ways to help make them respond. So Mark, when he was ordered by the judge to do it, he ended up responding very well. He spent time in juvenile detention. He spent time even later in the adult jail. But the whole idea was to give him enough experiences so that he could finally get tired himself. He could finally say enough is enough. So Mark did really very well while he was structured like that. But when he got into his 20s and he was off probation, then he stopped practicing the principles that are so important for addicts to practice in order to keep himself safe.
How old was he when he passed?
31 years old. He would have been 32, November 7th. So,
all right. You've heard Ron Rosetto's story. You heard Steve Willis's story. It was I want to say you could hear a pin drop in here. There's nobody in here but us, and I thought too. After the fact, after we set this up, I said, it's December 22nd, 3 days before Christmas. 'Tis the season to be jolly. Maybe this is not a good time, but then I said, maybe this is a good time. Maybe some of you who are listening now, who don't at this point in your lives have anything like this going on, will take more joy out of this Christmas, that count your blessings kind of thing. And others may have your eyes opened here. All right, you both thrown yourselves into this Hope Sheds Light. You're a corporation now, and I just want to. I have no commercial breaks here in this hour, but I just want to check here. Yeah, boy, we're almost halfway through here. So I do want to tell you, I'll certainly ask you back again in the pretty immediate future if you'd like to keep promoting this thing, because it's important what you're doing. So you both have thrown yourself into this. Now it's something obviously you both need to do for your own sake, as well as for the good you hope to do. And I think, Ron Rosetto, you said one thing to me when we met last week. You said if Hope Sheds Light can save one kid, one person, then all the efforts that you're putting into it would be more than worthwhile. You'll never know about how many people you're saving, but you're going to save some now. Let's talk now about the group, about what you're doing, what you plan to do, what your goal is, and how the people can help themselves or help the organization that are listening now that might want to get involved. And I'll say this, Paul, if we get any phone calls, which we do have, I can maybe squeeze a couple. Has who we got here? Huh? I'm not hearing you, so just put them on. I hope I'll hear them.
Hi, Bob.
Yes. Who am I talking to?
Ray Ronson.
Oh, hiya, Ray. How you doing?
Good. Hey, listen, I just want to contribute a little bit. When you get a repairman coming to your house, please empty out your medicine chest of drugs. I had a guy come here and clean out half of OxyContin, which I stupidly left in the bathroom medicine chest. They come in and ask to use your bathroom, then they go through your medicine chest. So make people aware of that. And then Dottie's got something to contribute to Bob.
Okay. Go ahead, Dottie.
Sorry to interrupt, but because our family, most times people who know us know that it's been in our family also, and the story went exactly like the route that Ronnie described. I would like to just add a precaution to the families listening. Besides locking your medicine chest, now if you also, what happened to us, jewelry, make sure you bunk your jewelry or put your jewelry away, and do not let that be available. And also purses, women's purses. Do not put purses down anywhere. Put them somewhere. It sounds terrible for me to be saying all this, but it's from personal experience. You just never dream that's going to happen. But even your loved ones will do anything. They lose their conscience. And so Ray and I just wanted to add that to the notification to families, that besides what Ronnie warned them about, okay?
Thank you, Dottie. Thank you. And I know you both, and I know the kind of people you are, and I know you're caring, and thank you for calling.
Thank you for taking us.
All right, now, Ron, talk about the group.
The group we organized approximately a year ago. And again, we wanted to comprise the group in different components. We wanted a law enforcement component. We wanted the prosecutor, who's been great, and he's doing a wonderful job in Ocean County, to be a part of it. He is. We work together with their team and ours, drug counselors, recovering addicts, because they get it, and we wanted to hear from the recovering addict so that we don't think we know everything. Developers, because our plan is to hopefully have some safe houses constructed, or in the future some treatment centers in the area to help with the problems that we have in this county. And by the way, it's not just this county, it's the entire state of New Jersey, but we live here, so this is where our focus is. Ocean County Health Department has been wonderful, and for parents to understand this, because we didn't, Ocean County Health Department has tremendous resources. And a lot of us, if you talk to a parent who has lost their child or has a child in treatment, it was very difficult for us to try to find, well, what do we do now? We just found out our daughter is on heroin or our son's on heroin. And in the past, you can call 15 different places, all kinds of organizations, and you get nowhere. We had to do it on our own. We found detox centers, rehab facilities, treatment centers, drug counselors on our own. And we've comprised those lists, and together we're putting them on a website so that if a parent does find out that their child has these problems, go to the website. The hard work that we had to go through, it's being done for you. So the resources are great, and you can thank Ocean County Board of Health and some of the people that are on our committee for putting that together. Also on our committee are some local business people. We have the religious component. Pastor Torrey from Presbyterian Church on Hooper Avenue has been extremely helpful, giving us meeting rooms, and in process right now of planning events so that we can gather some capital, complete the website, populate it with different resources and events, and things that parents and kids will need to know, teachers, Board of Education. So we're trying to make this process as easy as possible so that you go to a computer, one click, and there are the resources. It's been a tremendous group. We've met probably about 7 or 8 times, and we're now to the point where it's being organized, where we're setting up subgroups and subcommittees. So there are people that have been asking us to help. Parents that have lost their children, parents that have their children in treatment right now. So everyone is going to be able to get a piece of this, and if we work together as a team, the goal is to turn 107 or 108 deaths that we have right now in Ocean County below that. If we can cut it down to 100 or 50 or 40 the following year and the year after that, our main goal is just to provide education and awareness to families out there and children. And at this point, I look at things simply. If a young person understands that an opiate equals heroin, that could save your life. Don't do an Oxycontin. Don't crush it up and snort it, and you think that you're just taking a pain pill. You're taking heroin, and you're getting hooked. And there's also tainted heroin out there that has killed a lot of kids, including my son. The week my son passed away, there were three other children that had passed away because there was tainted heroin going around the county. Nobody knows about it until all of a sudden 3 to 5 kids end up dead. So if we can create our focus and focus the education and awareness to the 3rd grade kids, the 4th grade kids, that's your new generation growing up. If we can educate them and teach them not to take these drugs because of the things that you're listening to today, maybe we'll save a lot of people.
All right, look, Steve Willis, you're an attorney.
Yes, sir.
And I guess that helped in putting the group together. This is no rinky-dink effort.
No, this is
you're thinking big here. This is going to be a big-time organization. I believe everybody's going to know the name. Hope Sheds Light. And again, your education awareness. You mentioned the little ones now. Now you told me when we met about some of the things you've been doing to date and going into the classrooms. And Ron, you told me that you were really had these little kids giving you rapt attention. I guess because it's got to be because of your personal stories. You tell them about this, and so you've already done a lot, but you're going to be doing so much more now. You're talking to all sorts of groups, clubs, etc. I was thinking when Mariana started our weekday show, we used to go out a lot and talk to groups and clubs, and we don't anymore. Most of them were at night. It wasn't. But even big senior groups, you go and talk to a big senior group. Now they've got children and grandchildren, and I guess that could be productive. And I don't. There's no age barriers here, is there? As far as users,
but there's really not.
Anybody can get hooked.
Anybody can, and it's important. Obviously, part of our goal, as Ron articulated, is to go into the schools, continue to do that. But it's vital to us to give families themselves hope. I mean, parents need to be educated about what they're looking at in front of them. The call that came in, locking up, medications, locking up pocketbooks. I guess that's fine, but we don't want to remain victims in our homes, right? This is a disease that affects everybody. If family members, parents, grandparents, as you pointed out, Bob, become familiar with this disease, become familiar with the symptoms, and they know where to turn, hopefully us, then through a collaborative approach, we can really lick this thing.
Now, when kids get older, let's say they turn teenagers turn 13 as an average, and they tend to get very protective of their things, the privacy of their room. Whereas when they were 8 years old, mother, father could come in, go through their drawers, whatever. They wouldn't even ask, "What are you doing?" But now it's, hey, It's my room. You shouldn't be looking through my stuff, etc. You don't buy that at all, do you?
I told my son it was my house. It's my house.
There you go.
I took the door off of his bedroom because he tried to lock it. I took closet doors off. It was crazy. But I said, it's my house, and as long as you live under my house, my rules. And he didn't like that. But, it helped me, become very aware of the problem that I was facing. And then I just had to figure it out. The organization that we have, and I'm very grateful to Ron that he asked me to be a part of this. We are in the beginnings of organizing this this great group. When the website comes up, it's going to be very informative. What I'd like to be able to tell people now and offer people is that they can call immediately if they have a problem. They can call my office. They can call my cell phone, which is 732-996-4367. That number is really available to people if they just don't know what they're looking at and need some immediate guidance.
All right, here's what I think folks out there should know. Again, your name is Steve Willis.
Correct.
Willis. You're an attorney. Your office is on Main Street in Toms River.
Correct.
And you can be reached. I think too what the public wants to know most of all is the name of this group. Mm-hmm. It's Hope Sheds Light. You've got a website, tremendous amount of information on there. You have a phone number, and this is what you want to know. There is help out there. I mean, I know people call me from time to time on this Sunday show. I got a problem, not necessarily drugs, but anything. I don't know where to turn for help. I don't know where to go. Now, if you're a concerned parent with teenagers or less, and you truly don't believe that they're doing anything, you still might have some questions.
Right.
You want to be you want to be preventative here.
Exactly. Exactly right.
Really don't wait for the problem to arise. So your Hope Sheds Light, and your phone number is.
Well, at this point, Bob, again, we're just setting the website up. We don't have a phone number yet.
I had a couple of numbers here. I guess that's not.
Here's what we're doing because of the team that we've established and the different professionals that are on our team. There's a very large mental health component with a lot of this, whether it's ADHD, ADD, and parents should recognize if their children are struggling and there are low self-esteem issues in school, whatever, pay attention to that. Ocean County Mental Health, there is a telephone number that you can call, and that's 732-349-5550. They've been great. They've helped other people, like Steve has helped other people together as a team. And Ocean County Board of Health's website is www.ochd.org. So if you go on their website, Ocean County Mental Health, Hope Sheds Light, you have Steve's contact information. At least you have a place to start.
All right, but we're going to eventually, hopefully in the near future,
yes,
we're going to have a firm phone number for Hope Sheds Light. Now, that's what we're going to be promoting, along with the website, and to really make people aware that this is the place to go.
Absolutely.
All right. So right now, Steve, and you did give your office number, didn't you?
My office number is 732-557-0113.
And Steve Willis, and he would be for now. Guy, you can call.
That's exactly
and
right.
And you'll talk to people.
I'll talk to people during the day. When I'm not in court, I gave the cell phone 732-996-4367 to talk to people at night if they want to and on weekends.
You'll take the time.
I will. Well, and the reason, Bob, I was blessed when I first started going through this madness with Mark. We didn't know where to turn, my wife and I. I was blessed to meet people who gave me their cell phone, who were available when I needed the help, and I've never forgotten that. And that's why I offer it to people now. The phone call will be answered. I promise.
Important to you both to see some good come out of your tragedies.
Absolutely.
And
it's our way to.
I think a lot of a way to honor your sons. You said I guess there are a whole lot of folks could understand that. Good people. All right. Do we have anything? 732-237-9626. Yes. I can't hear you, and I can't. I don't see lights here. Do we have calls? Yes. All right. All right. Put it on. Who am I talking to? This is archaic, but so be it. Hello.
Hi, this is Chanel Beardsley.
Chanel is also one of the young people on our committee on Hope Sheds Light, and she's been helping us. She's had issues with drugs, and she'll explain her own story, but I'm proud of her. She's doing a great job, and she will be able to get to the young people where perhaps we can't.
Okay, how old are you, Chanel?
I am going to be 24 in February, actually.
All right, so you're kind of grown up there now. And you went to school. I don't know if you want to say you went to school locally here, I assume.
Yes, I've grown up here my whole life.
All right. What are you doing right now? And what was your experience with as a drug user? Is that correct?
Yes.
All right.
Actually, I'm currently in my first year of grad school, which is amazing because I have completely turned my life around 180 degrees. I started going through this when I was 16 years old, and from 16, 17, 18 up until 19, it was just, I can't even describe one other word but hell. It was absolutely hell. I was at the point where I almost lost my entire family because they just didn't even know what to do anymore, and I was lucky enough to have the supportive family that I do have to help me through this.
Well, I'm fascinated. And it sounds like it's a beautiful story. What was there one thing that really caused you to pull yourself together and try and whip this thing? Why? In other words, why did you change?
What inspired me, I would have to say, school has always been an absolute huge part of my life. Even when I was messing up, even in high school, I continued to do very well in school. And I just always knew that this was not going to be my life, not forever. And I did get caught in it, and it was extremely hard to get out, but I just knew that I could not live my life like this. And there were, I went out and found the resources I need. Not one way works for everybody, and I did end up using the methadone clinic at one point, and I will say it did save my life because it was able to get me to stop long enough. And so when I came off of it, I had already 2 years under my belt without using, that I was able to prove to myself that I didn't need to use this drug.
All right, look, you mentioned the methadone clinic. That suggests to me that you were physically addicted.
Yeah, absolutely.
And mentally as well?
Absolutely.
Well, and now you're in grad school.
You.
This is so beautiful.
It's like opening Pandora's box. As I'm speaking to you right now, I have my friend's necklace right beside me. I got out of the shower. I don't wear it in the shower, but my friend passed away, and she shared her life so closely with her friends and her family. And the few closest friends to her family, her mom gave a really special necklace to a few of us with her ashes inside of it. So I'm speaking to you right now, with that next to me, holding that. I always have that next to me, on me, as long as I'm not in the shower, because I don't want to ruin it. But, it's a reminder to me. And, I got clean way before she passed. But there's so many other of my friends that are dealing with this right now, and I feel like I feel like I could be an inspiration because I have turned my life around so much, and I just want to be able to show people that a lot of people in this town do know me, and they do know my past because I went through it a long time before everyone did, and they all thought I was crazy, and they would never do it, and, the whole pill thing happened, and I guess, in this country, they give you pills for everything, so taking a pill wasn't, it didn't seem like a big deal. They didn't know what it was. and all of a sudden they were hooked on pills, and
right.
pills are expensive. Doctors got arrested. I mean, it's a lot of people have the exact same story.
Right, let me ask you: are you now? Would it be proper to refer to you as a recovering addict?
Absolutely.
Is it the same? Is it
recovery?
Is it the same as alcoholism? Now, an alcoholic, once an alcoholic will tell you, an alcoholic who goes every day of their lives to an AA meeting, they will tell you that they'll be a recovering addict for the rest of their life. Hopefully,
absolutely.
Same thing.
I don't know if anyone has seen the commercial. Passages Malibu. I can't tell you how much it angers me every time I see it, and I've brought it to other people's attention in the community, and they thought the same thing. And he speaks, and he says something about to the nature of, I used to be an addict, and now I'm not. This is not a 12-step program, but it works. I'm all great for different programs. Maybe not one way works for everyone, but for someone to be, I was an addict and now I'm not. No, once you're an addict, you're always an addict. You could be in recovery, but you're in recovery for the rest of your life. It's not something that goes away, and you can't become complacent. You always have to keep it on your mind that you just can't falter once just because you've been clean for a few years, and you can't say you're no longer an addict, because if you were to pick up your drug of choice, you're going to go right off to the races. I mean, that's what the disease of addiction is. So it's not like, oh, you go to recovery for 3-4 years and you've been clean. Oh, I'm done. No, you're never done. You have to constantly stay in recovery, and I've made that mistake before, and I have relapsed because I thought, oh, I did my thing. I'm clean. I'm done. I'll be fine, and nothing really changed, and I became complacent, and I did relapse.
How long ago was that?
2 years back.
So 2 years ago, you relapsed. But did you relapse for long, or was it a?
No, it was a very short relapse, and I got myself help immediately because I didn't even tell my mom anything. I was just like, I don't want to be influenced by anyone. I know I need help, and I got myself help, and I've been doing good ever since.
Oh, yeah, you are so terrific listening to you, so inspirational, and you're in graduate school now. Working toward a degree, what, a master's in what?
I'm working towards my MBA. I just finished my undergrad in accounting, and my end goal is to have my CPA.
Uh-huh.
So it's possible. It's possible to do a complete 180. I'm really lucky that I never got a record. I didn't get arrested.
How's your social life?
Completely different, but much better.
Is it good?
My family life, my social life with my family is absolutely amazing. My social life with friends, I have very few friends left because they are either using or they're dead.
Yeah.
And I constantly tell people that, if you want help, and I'm more than willing to talk to you, find you whatever resources I can through the group that Ron started, Hope Sheds Light, which is so amazing. I can't even tell you. It's brought me to tears just to see how many people are so willing to spend their time and money and resources and energy to try and make this community a better place. Our prosecutor is doing so much. I am just so grateful for the group that Ron put together and all the people he knows, because it's just a killer group, and we're really going to attack this. We're doing everything we can.
Look. Let me ask you. I think it's very important. You're working hard in school now, all right?
Yeah.
So I guess you don't have an awful lot of time, but
it's good to keep busy.
Are you planning to be active in the group at all in Hope Sheds Light?
Absolutely. I do attend every meeting. I missed one because my final was due the next day, but as things get going more and there's any chance for me to speak like I am now, anywhere, any radio, any auditorium, any group of people, anyone who's willing to listen, I'm willing to share.
That's why I asked the question. As an inspirational speaker, you are like born for it. Just tremendous.
Yeah.
I could see you going into middle schools, particularly, right?
Absolutely. That's what I can see too.
Well, boy, I hope you'll be able to do it, because it'd be something, a lost resource if you can't. I just can't.
I know that I'm not ever going to be a licensed psychologist. That's not the goal I want in life. I love numbers. I love accounting, and that's how I plan to, afford my life, my home, everything. But I also know I'm going to have extra money, and I want to help animals, and I want to help people that are struggling with addiction, because those are my two passions. I want to give back.
I can't get over you. I'm so glad that you called, and I can just see watching the body language and facial expressions of Ron and Steve. They're very happy you called. Also, I just want to say. The merriest of Christmases to you and your family, and
thank you very much.
And you, I don't know what you've inspired me to do. Probably nothing, but I really feel inspired, and I'm so glad we had you here, and I hope we'll have you again.
Absolutely, anytime. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Have a happy holiday.
Yeah, you too. Okay, what do you think, guys?
She's great.
Well, she is great.
She's beyond great.
Yes.
I just I've talked to how many people I talked to here in the 35 years I've been doing this. That I'd have to say I can't think of anyone on any subject, any topic that I found as inspirational. What a resource she is for you.
Well, she is exactly that, though. Bob, she's a resource because when she joins the group and she raised two, Ron and I, look, we need young people events. There's nothing for us to do, she said. We need sober events. We need, some excitement so that people can find purpose in their lives again. So she's going to be very, very helpful to us to develop those kind of events.
I think she's
she's great.
Very, very rare person.
It's a well-rounded group, Bob, as you can see, and we wanted the young component on there for this reason. The younger people aren't going to listen to me. They're not going to listen to Steve. They will listen to Chanel because they can relate to her. She knows what she's talking about. She's experienced the disease, and she can tell you stories. It could go on for hours, and it'll be another time. But as far as me in closing today, because I know we're running out of time, there's also another component that is very important. In order to get into treatment centers today, you need insurance. The insurance generally will last 30 days. You get booted out, and then you're back home again. There's legislation that we will be working on as a team, and we're working in conjunction with Senator Singer's office, and he's submitted some new legislation recently to go against the pharmacists and the medical doctors that are overprescribing drugs. And that bill's out there. I don't know a lot about it. He'll explain it better to you, and someday we'll have a program on that, I'm sure. But it's very important that we go after the insurance companies, we talk to the governor, we get his support, and we try and get help. As Joe Coronado, our prosecutor, says, this is a disease. If someone has cancer, there's insurance for that. How come there's not insurance for this?
Is the governor aware of you?
I don't think he's aware of us. There are people in town that are tied to the governor, but I don't think he's aware of us yet. But he will.
He will be.
Oh, he will be.
Yeah.
There's no question.
Yeah. Because, like I said, this is no rinky-dink effort. This is going to be a big-time deal. Hope Sheds Light. Remember that name. Now, let me ask you this: if someone was to do information 411 and ask for a phone number for Hope Sheds Light, would they get anything or no? Not yet.
Not at this point.
Well, you're going to keep us updated, obviously.
Of course.
So we can really, really promote that big time.
We wanted to get the message out before the holidays, and believe me, each month we're working, and this will be established, and it will save and help a lot of people.
So know this, folks. If you know that you have the problem now in your family, or if you even suspect that you might have it in your family, or you should suspect that you might have it in your family no matter what. You should suspect it because this knows there's no stereotypes here. It's when you look at older people, some people might think, well, these drug victims, they come from nothing. They have nothing. Hey, well, go explain the incidence of drug deaths that we've seen here in the last just few years in Hollywood. And these are the rich and famous. These are what they call the beautiful people that seemingly have everything. Apparently they don't. Huh? One after another. Mm-hmm. We hear about them. So it this truly can be anybody. I know you said something, Steve, about how you said, hey, this is my house, and as long as you live here. And, boy, that rang on me because that's something I said a couple times in my life to my kids, as long as you live under my roof. So it's a great philosophy. Yep. Too. Hey, it was Ron. It's good seeing you.
Pleasure, Bob.
And Steve, I'm glad I met you, and I'm sure we'll be seeing you again.
Oh, it's my pleasure.
All right.
Yeah,
thanks for being here. Merry Christmas, as possible to you and your families.
Thank you.
All right, folks. That's a wrap. We're back tomorrow morning. That's Bob and Marianne on AM at 6. And then they were taking some vacation, boy. But I'll be back next Sunday because I'm not going anywhere. And have yourselves a great, great Christmas. I really do. All of you who listen here, may it be a good one. And we'll be with you again before the first of the year, because next Sunday is the last Sunday of the month. So have a great one. Thank you, and so long for now.